Hello there, my friends. Welcome to the Glow Up Method. This is the place where we talk all things personal development, self-love, self-care, our health, our mental health, our physical health, our spiritual health, all in this desire to live this dream life that we're proud of. Hello, hi. My name is Natasha, and I am so honored and proud to be here with you today. Hi. Today was a beautiful day. I don't know if I manifested it with wearing this blue shirt today, but my gosh, the blue skies, like for me, I know you guys are in the future when you're watching this, but spring felt upon us. And it was just such a beautiful day. Like from the beginning, it started off great. My back is still having a little bit of a flare up, but instead of me being stubborn, I've made an appointment with my doctor because I think the little cortisone shot or whatever they put in my back, I believe it's kind of worn off. I don't think I tweaked it. I don't think I did something. I just think that the medicine wore off. And so I really want to get a game plan of what's the action. Is the only choice to just continually do these things? Is there something else? I mean, I've tried physical therapy, I've tried activity, no activity. I've taken my activity down by 50%. So, you know, I'm trying to work with you here, body. Can you work with me? So, you know, I had mostly a good sleep. I woke up a couple times and I found certain postures, such as like being in a child's pose or kind of leaning onto my bed, kind of supported where my stomach and everything is supported, like gives me, I'm in relief. I have no pain. So I'm really trying to find those pain-free places and lean into them or stand on them or, you know, use them to give myself some relief and care and not push through. So like, I went this morning to my dance class. I had a phenomenal time, so much fun. My Pleasanton crew is growing over here, and they're, you know, feeling the hype and the energy, and, you know, little people are so cute. They come up and they're like, thank you for always being so enthusiastic, and encourages me to be more enthusiastic in the class. And I was like, yeah, that's what I'm here for, you know. And I ended up doing my other class, and then I did 2 doses of this little hydro massage thing to just really calm and nurture my body a little bit in there. And I had to go grocery shopping, and you know me, I'm on my old cheapskate, so I, you know, frugal. I'm like, why am I going to waste it? So Chris had a coupon at his house that was going to expire today, so I picked that up. That was $10. So, you know, it was worth the extra drive there. So I drove there, and it was just such a beautiful day. The weather was gorgeous out. Drove there, did a little bit of shopping, came home, called my son, asked him if he'd like to go for a walk. He said he couldn't go right now, but he would in a little bit. Ate a little bit of lunch, had some great grapes. I opened the window. Chris had fixed my fountain, so I turned on the fountain. It was flowing, just like I was listening to the birds. Like everything outside was like really still. The sky is blue. There's that cool little crisp air and the, like feel in the air. The trees are changing again, where, you know, it's like they're dormant, and then all of a sudden the buds are starting to come out, and there's just something magical about not being able to see all the work that was happening in the shadows, right? You looked at the tree and they just look like these twigs and these sticks, and you're like, nothing's happening here. This is barren and this is ugly. And then all of a sudden, you know, these buds start to appear, and you don't know, I mean, unless you know what kind of tree it is, you're some kind of arborist or, you know, aficionado, or you're just familiar with the tree. Like, I don't know when I'm taking a walk what's gonna come out of it. It's just so exciting to see what's gonna emerge, how this thing is going to transform. And it was really symbolic of, you know, our journeys here, right? What we're doing with ourselves is we're working in the shadows. There isn't always a participation award or a trophy or a, you know, somebody saying something kind to you. It is you motivating you to get up and go do what you do. And during my walk with my son was saying, you know, it's interesting how time changes. And when time changes, you know, it changes like what your things are. He's like a year ago now, I was in school, I was doing PT, I was playing soccer on my own. I was also doing like, I had different things that I was doing. And, you know, I said, yeah, if you even take it back further years, I had at some points 4 kids at 4 different schools and 4 different practices and sports and games. And I was like, there was no time for me to get up in the morning and go to the gym. I didn't know it was available to me. I like didn't know that this world was existing. You know, I just was in mommy mode. So it's so fascinating how life can change. And, you know, when you're in it and you're doing certain things, like you feel like this is going to last forever. Like, you know, like, yes, somewhere down the line, I knew that the time would come where I was no longer taking kids to practices and schools and stuff like that. It just seems so far. All I knew was that life. And so here we are where, you know, it's like I'm 3/4 of my foot out the door and 1/4 in because I only have one more baby. And, you know, quite honestly, there's 4 drivers and, you know, between my husband and I and my kids, you know, so it's not like it's all this dependence on me, although I take the majority of it. But like certain things I've delegated out. Like today he has his practices beginning again. And, you know, I asked Chris and he's like, oh yeah, we, you know, Tyler and I already figured it out. I'm picking him up. But this time it was like, I didn't even need to be involved. And so, delicious water, let me tell you. But I just am like, life is changing. And that's the beauty of like what we've been talking about here. I am creating this life, right? I am creating a life that makes me proud. I have to do a lot of analysis. Today, I'm in a really good mood. I got a lot of vitamin D. I feel like I'm glowing a little bit. I feel like, you know, I was telling somebody recently, like when it gets really dark for a lot of days, I feel my spirit go down. Like I get a little bit of sun and I'm like, I'm back. You know, like this weekend there was like, I woke up in the morning and the sun was out. And of course my stomach was still hurt from my, you know, whole too much chili paste experience here. So I was doing that detox. It's a new fad, I guess, apparently. My daughter was saying, she's like, yeah, you should talk about it. It's going to go viral. I'm like, please no, it's a very painful, don't do it. Okay. It's not worth it. But it is not for the faint of heart here, people. Not worth it whatsoever. But I was like in the morning, I was so giddy just to see the sun. I literally was like, I'm blowing bubbles. Like I want to get out. And I love these bubbles. This is like the solution for it. I'm going to blow it one day, but they're downstairs right now, the blower part. They like are these bubbles that like you can like, I don't know, it's meant maybe some kind of like vegetable or something. I don't know. I really don't know, to be honest here, because it's not in English, most of it. But I can't read it. And even if I could, it's like in like microscopic print. But yeah, and they make these like really cool bubbles. And so it just made me so happy to like blow some bubbles and be giddy and have my energy. Now, because my stomach had hurt, listen, my energy zapped out after a few minutes of blowing. I was like, okay, I'm done now. But no, it's just really like something about being out in the nature just invigorates me. You know, it's just my son and I. We're not on our phones. We don't even have our phones with us half the time. You know, it's tucked away or at home still in a pocket. And we're just chatting. And it's just so beautiful. There's no music. There's no electronics, nothing. It's just him and I. We're observing these things. And he was like, hey, remember this tree? And a few months ago when we saw the tree, because it's a very unique shape. And he was like, something about this tree. I was like, yeah, it's the one that was like golden yellow. And I stopped and took a picture at night and they had a light. He's like, yes, this is the one. And now it's barren. There's no leaves on it whatsoever. And I was like, you would never know, you know, what come. And I was like, and remember, I was like, it's not going to come, you know, bloom out like this. It's probably going to be green or some other color. The yellow was for the fall. He's like, yes, Mom, I know that. I'm like, okay, well, I just want to make sure you know. But it's just something so magical about the blue skies, and the birds are out and they're chirping again, and it just feels like all is right in the world. Like it is that we made it. We survived the winter. And let me tell you, you all know it was quite the winter for me. You know, it's an interesting phenomenon because I've never recorded in my life, right? Like I've journaled here and there, and I've done some extensive journaling and writing a book and different things. And to have a video recording of my voice, of my my authentic feelings, because like I said, I'm not coming on here to BS you all. Like everything I'm saying on here is literally my truth, like more vulnerable than I've been to most people. And it's teaching me it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be me. It's better than okay. Like this is the way. This is it. And it doesn't mean like my son was just telling me he had there's a soccer player, his name is Henri, and in this either book or probably some kind of a video recording or something, that he said in order to be a professional athlete you have to love pain. And I was like, that's interesting. I'm like, did he say why? And he said, and he might have, it was a long thing, but that was my main takeaway. And I said, it's so true, because in order to grow, we have to withstand the pain. That's why they're called growing pains. And like, it's in our struggles that our greatest strengths emerge. Our character is tested. And let me tell you, my character was tested this winter. And even leading up to it, like having this opportunity to sit back and watch, and you're living two lives, right? I'm sat back and I was watching the video that I published for this week, one of the videos I published for this week. And, it was talking about how I just couldn't wait to be rid of Chris. Like I was just so glad that we were separating. I was so glad like to have this freedom, and there was a night, and then there was a confrontation, and he was yelling and he left and all these things, and I was like, my gosh, it's the polar opposite of the person who's in front of me today, him and me. And there is this epiphany part, right, where it's like, here's this old version of Chris, here's this old version of me, here's this new version of Chris, and here's this new version of me. And of course, this new version of me isn't just living in the la la land, okay? I'm still a realist. I still am who I am. I didn't get here without a lot of wisdom and curiosity, right? I have to be curious of things. And it's really important for me to, analyze and think about like, well, what would happen if that version of us started to show up again? And I just was like, I need to work really hard to ensure that version of me doesn't show up. That does not guarantee that version of Chris won't show up, but that does guarantee that I'm doing everything I can in order to be the person I want to be, the partner I want to be. And then I can choose if I stay in a relationship with somebody who isn't meeting me at my level. And right now, Chris is meeting me at my level. Like, it was so funny last night. He picked up Brad. He had a concert thing he went to. Then he picked up Brad from the airport because his flight came in at like 11:20 in SFO. I was like, hey, listen, you're out that way anyways. Can you pick him up instead of me? So I don't have to drive out there and get back at midnight. And he said, sure. And I was busy working, and I had my computer. I don't wear glasses, but I have my computer glasses, especially at night. I like to wear them so I'm not overstimulated and still can go to sleep. So I had my glass on. He was like, ooh, who's this librarian lady in here? Just like goofy. We were just being goofy. And I don't even remember what it was. Like my back's hurting. So I was like, hey, let's try sleeping this way in the bed. So we literally, instead of sleeping this way, we were sleeping this way. Like, and I don't know what we were saying or talking about, but we were just sitting there and cracking up. I literally cannot, I have a good memory. I can't even remember what it was, but I know like just from laughing, I went to sleep with the biggest smile on my face. I'm like, this is what I always wanted. Just someone to come in, ask how my day was. I hear how their day was. It doesn't mean we need to be together every waking second of every day. And he was like, I had sent him a nice text, and he was like, I really appreciate how vulnerable you are being. I appreciate how much like you're sharing, like an open, like this is the foundation in which a healthy relationship is born. I don't believe that I knew how to behave this way before. I don't believe that I was willing to behave this way before. And so, here it is. A dawn is upon us. A new season is coming yet again. And we talk a lot about seasons. Again, I look at my my succulents here, they are such a metaphor for me, because this week I also watched the episode where I had come to the realization that I really wanted these succulents here. I worked really hard. I mean, you guys heard me planting them on Mother's Day. I brought them up. I was so proud of them. It was this, for years I used to just look out of this thing, but now I look out my window and I see this life, and it was so beautiful, and they were just babies. And then they started to die and wilt and wither, and there was no amount of water and that intense heat that was bringing them back. Some were surviving, but just barely. And I moved them to a different environment, and suddenly they came back to life again. They needed a change of environment. They needed to grow their roots. They needed to become established. And now I move them up here, and they're like, some of them are about this big. They started out this big, and they're like this big within a few seasons, right? And they were at death's door, and I haven't replanted anything new. Just some have come back again. And isn't that beautiful that it wasn't the right time? So it makes me think of Chris and I. I was on here saying, listen, he's a good person, I'm a good person, we just need to be in different environments. We do. And suddenly we did. I had my environment here, he had his environment there, and suddenly, out of nowhere, these feelings that I never imagined presented themselves. And I had a choice, right? Steer the course, be the, responsible, do the right thing, because at this point you wanted the separation. He wants to separate. You guys are done. You've caused enough conflict and harm on one another and your family. It is time to end the madness. Go out there, explore what other options there are. What other environments are there? But all I suddenly wanted was Chris. I can't explain it. And I don't understand it myself. So it's just very baffling myself, right? Because you're I listened to it here and I'm like, yeah, no, there's no question. That version of me was ready to say goodbye. That version of me was ready to turn a new corner with my life. And I still am turning a new corner. I'm getting everything I wanted with the person I originally committed to. And I'm choosing this person. Whereas before, I was saying yesterday, it had felt like I was doing the right thing and I was being responsible and I didn't want to hurt somebody else's feelings and all these things. I felt like I never really had a choice, even though technically I did, right? We all know I did. But it just didn't feel like I have a choice. And now it feels like this is my choice. It feels like it is my choice to say, what can I do extra to communicate my care? That doesn't mean that he's going to always respond to me with a paragraph back. It doesn't mean that he's going to initiate. Everything that he does is independent of what I do. And that has been the secret. That is what this whole concept of living a life you're proud of means. I'm proud of myself that even if maybe, and I'm not saying any of these things happen, but just hypothetically, maybe if he didn't answer me within 2 seconds of me texting and saying thank you that I sent this nice text to him, it doesn't mean anything. I wasn't doing it to receive anything back. I was sending it to express how I felt. I wasn't worried about a timeline of when is it okay to say something? What is it okay to, I am not worrying about that. I'm not playing this game of life by Chris's rules, by your rules, by his rules, by her rules, by the general consensus rules. I'm playing it by mine. And I'm not playing it by my old rules. I'm making up the rules as I go along. That has been the secret of my physical success. And that is going to be the secret of my relationship success. I think about it often because there really always was a common denominator, and that was me. How I show up as a parent, how I show up as a partner, how I show up to myself, how I show up as a daughter. It's about me. And and not in this selfish, narcissistic, whatever baloney, words or whatever is going to go out in there. No, take it all back. It is, oh, thank you. Those walks were beautiful, but I'm thirsty. No, it's about you showing up the way you want to. How is it you would want to be treated? How is it you would, and then not sitting there and doing something and waiting to see what somebody else did. Your reward is you saying, yes, I did it. Your reward is working like those trees in the shadow, behind the scenes where nobody can see what's going on. And then suddenly emerges something beautiful. That's what you're doing. It's ugly and it's painful, right? Because you have to go through the motions yourselves. Like, I don't want to put myself out there. Oh my gosh, I texted. He didn't answer back. Maybe he doesn't want to see me. Maybe he doesn't feel these things. Stop. Stop the madness. The question is, did you do something that makes you proud? Is the answer yes? Then you did well. You did beyond well. You are doing exactly what you're supposed to do. Now, if you do this and it doesn't feel good, right? Then that's a question you need to ask yourself. What is it I need to do differently? And that may mean ending a relationship. That may mean quitting a job. That may mean, changing something. Because like I said, like the soccer player Henri said, if you want to be really good at something, you have to love pain. And I'm not saying I love pain, right? I said, to my son, I said, that's a great thing. I'm in pain right now. My sciatic, it's flared up, it's irritated, and I have two choices. When you said you were ready for the walk, I could have said yes, or I could have said, no, I'm in too much pain. And I said, here's the thing. The pain is going to be there either way. I can go home, sit and work, or be on the couch or on a chair, stand, or whatever it is and be in pain. Or I can come on a walk and be with pain with you, but I'm out and seeing all these beautiful things that for some moments make me forget that there is pain. For some moments, it makes you feel like the pain is worth it. And so that's what it is. Change isn't without pain. Living a life that you're proud of doesn't mean it's not pain-free. It doesn't mean that at all. But it means that you are on the proper growth journey that you are supposed to be on. It's a challenge, right? Because you have to debunk, like almost like an attorney debunking and invalidating, this case that's being brought up upon them, because you have years of programming, default settings, like I say, grabbing something with your right hand versus your left hand, all those little tips and tricks that I teach you, right? From even something as simple as putting your toothbrush on the left-hand side to start making it something that you're comfortable getting uncomfortable. Taking those daily doses of dysregulation in the shower. It's about getting comfortable in the discomfort. So here you are, right? Life doesn't go perfect. I have sciatic. I feel good. I feel energized. And I really want to go to my class tonight. I can make it work and all these things. And I still got to take my car to the shop. And it happens to be that way. But I also know if I go to the gym, there is a possibility that if I push myself to this third class that's high impact, it may impact my classes tomorrow. And so what is the responsible thing? What is it I want to do? And I think to myself, again, I'm really comfortable going to those classes. I really like it. Love the instructor. I love my friends. Don't love the drive. But it's okay. I accept it. I listen to music or I listen to podcasts. I think, I have a lot of options. Or I look on my app and I see, there's a class that I've always wanted to take in Pleasanton. It's called Restorative Yoga. I kind of feel like I could use a little restoration right now. I feel like my body could use a little bit of nurturing, a little bit of love. It had a tough weekend with a detox. It takes some really challenging workouts. I already did 2 workouts today. I already have my dinner planned and ready to go. Half of it cooks in an Instant Pot. The other half of it is pretty easy. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out of my comfort zone. I'm going to get out of what is usual for me and either A, not go to the gym, or B, go to the gym that I'm used to, or C, try this new class. because I'm creating these rules, right? And this is my life. This is my story. And it's something that makes me prideful to go and try something new. That is what I preach. That's what I say. You never know what you're going to learn. You learn you love it. You learn you dislike it. You learn something new about you. So I say all that to say, here we are. We are on the precipice of a new season. And how are you going to show up in this new season? Are you going to bring your old ways with you to this new season that you no longer feel proud of? Are you going to be that same person? Or are you going to make some changes? Like, I have to remind myself to get in the slow lane and take it slow. I have to remind myself how freaking lucky I am to be alive. On my walk, my son was telling me one of his best friends that he's met through the gaming world, and then we got to meet in person. And, you know, again, when he first started talking with him on the phone, I was like, hang up, this is a pedophile. Like, you do not talk to people on the phone that you met on the internet. Like, they were showing me FaceTimes, like, no, I'm a real person. I'm like, I don't care. I don't know what in the AI you guys are doing, but this is a no. We're not doing the pedophile thing under my watch. Okay, here, people, this is not happening. And so I always joke, because this kid is actually younger than my son, by like a couple months or a year or something like that. So, but we ended up traveling together. We've gone to Dallas together. We've now gone to Sweden together. So I know this kid well now, and you know, his mom and everything. So yes, so very interesting is, well, sad is, you know, he was on the walk and he said that, you know, he was, his friend was sad because, you know, he used to walk to school with this one kid, and a couple weeks ago, the kid got in a car accident and passed away. And he doesn't know the details of the car accident. Quite honestly, it doesn't really matter, right? At the end of the day, the moral of the story is he's no longer here. And the funeral was yesterday. And I think to myself, wow, just, it's a baby, right? This kid is my son's age or a year younger. And at the same time, I get word just last week of my daughter's friend, who I was a Girl Scout leader for. And she spent the last 4 years of her life fighting brain cancer. And she passed away, and she's my daughter's age. And it just, again, I know it's not to be morbid. It's to be grateful. We take it for granted. You know, we take for granted, like I was saying, I felt like forever I'd be taking my kids to school every day. And some days it felt like I have to take my kids to school today. And some days I felt like I really get to. And I get to live this life right now. And I have to remind myself, because I'm still here, right? Like, I get to go to a gym. I get to move my body. I get to have car problems because I'm so privileged to even have a car. So, you know, it's all about shifting your perspective. And I really want you guys to go into this next season of your life with this gratitude and appreciation for what you have, even if it seems like crap, right? Even if it seems like it's not the best. You know how privileged we are? You know how privileged we are? We are so lucky to be here and alive. We need to start living like it and sharing with it. And number one, starting with ourselves. Like, our health and our ability to be alive, that is the greatest wealth and gift there is in this world. Yes, all of those other things don't matter. And let me tell you, if you're ever confronted with somebody that you love, having a heart defect or having brain surgery or cancer, you yourself do, all those other things, they don't matter anymore. All that other stuff, it means nothing. And the health and well-being of your loved one is all that matters. So I want you to go out there today. Again, give yourself that self-love, that self-nurturing. Start banking it up. You need it and you deserve it. So I want you to give yourself a big smile in the mirror. Give yourself a compliment. Like, I'm like in the blue today. So I'm going to say, like, today, like, blue is my color. Like, again, I think I wore it last week because I'm really loving it. It reminds me of my grandma. My grandma had these stunning blue eyes, and they would be popping right now. You know, green brings out my eyes, but the blue, I feel like my grandma had a blue this color. So I am loving that. I feel this connection with my grandma today, and I am loving my own personal energy. So that's my compliment to me today. Then I want you to go out there and give somebody else a big smile. Give them a compliment. Fuel their tank up a little bit. And honestly, just watch how they glow up and you glow up together. So I say all this to say thank you so much for tuning in. I am so proud of you. I am so honored to share these stories with you. I can't wait to hear more about your journey and experience. Please share below. Please continue to reach out. I am here for you. I know things get kind of crazy. I'm overwhelmed and overworked and underappreciated some days, but I am so much here for you guys. I really love and believe in this concept. I am ready to help you to help yourself. So thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.